fucking fair. It's not fucking fair anymore. It's never been fair, not in my lifetime. And will it ever be fair? No, because I'm a woman in America. Oh my God. I just want to live in peace, America. And I will one day. Probably somewhere else.
I've been a proud rural American my entire life. But the truth is, in rural America, poverty is higher, wages are lower, and jobs are far and few between.
I don't know who's out here living the American dream, but I can tell you one person who isn't, and that's me. I have 4 kids, and I'm working 3 jobs, and I'm still struggling. My full-time job, I'm a 911 dispatcher. My other 2 jobs, a waitress. The American dream should not be this hard. I should not have to be working my life away, being away from my kids. You know, sometimes I have to pick. Am I going to pay my electric bill or am I going to buy groceries? Because my kids need to eat. This is not the American dream. I'm so tired of struggling. You know, so many people are going to working multiple jobs just to pay for a house to sleep in, just to put their head down at night. This is not the American dream, not my American dream. That's why I started posting here on TikTok. So hopefully I can slow down some so I can spend time with my kids. Life shouldn't be this hard. I know one person that's making 6 figures and they're still struggling. Why's it gotta be so hard? Anyways, if you want to help this mama out from struggling, you know what to do. I'm headed into work at Buffalo Wild Wings today. I have to work a double. Say a prayer, I make some money.
We're just absolutely fucked as farmers, guys. Everything is so fucked, and I do not see anybody surviving this farm crisis that we're in.
Hey, haven't been on air a while, but I got to thinking about something, and I think it's about something that we don't talk about a lot. Like, rural America's really dropped the ball for all of us in the United States. They can wear as many American flag bullshit as they want to. They can cheer on a genocide as much as they want to because they think it's going to bring on the second coming. Like, Jesus can be like, hey, yay, great. You guys allowed a genocide. Now I'm here for you, mother. But what I'm trying to say is, like, leaders of the community are like the preachers and stuff because they have no culture, so they have to go to church. And a lot of the leaders of the community are not only preachers, but they're like leaders. They own businesses in those areas, and they would only survive in small areas to take advantage of all the other rubes. I'm related to some of them in my area, and I know who the they are. Terrible people. So these rubes are being taken advantage of by other rubes, and that's a Republican Party in rural America, and they're us all. Peace the
Only 2 states in the entire country voted unanimously across every county for the same presidential candidate. Trump won all the counties in Oklahoma, and Harris won all the counties in Massachusetts. And when you compare these states side by side, you really start to wonder why people aren't voting for Democrats. The all-Trump state of Oklahoma is 44th in education, 49th in healthcare, 44th in quality of life, and dead last 50th in test scores. And when you look at Massachusetts, they are 1st in education, 2nd in healthcare, 1st in quality of life, and 1st in test scores. Kind of hard to argue for Oklahoma here. And it's not just about who they voted for in the election. This is a Republican-run state, and these are the results of that Republican leadership. And this is a state run by Democrats, and those are the results of a state run by Democrats. And if you look at other red states, you'll find the same exact low-quality outcomes you see here. And if you look at other substantially blue states like Massachusetts, you'll see similar outcomes to what you see there, because Democratic policies work and Republican policies don't, because Republican policies go, I don't want to spend any money on anything, we're just going to hope it all works out. It doesn't. And Democratic places go, we need to spend money on basic infrastructure to support people, and what do you know? That works out.
Imagine waking up before sunrise, walking into the fields that your granddad farmed, only to realize that, wait a minute, the numbers don't add up. You know, feed costs are up and the grain prices dropping, and that check that you were expecting from DC, Washington, well, it ain't coming. Well, it's gone. And as if that wasn't enough, the safety nets that, you know, all of you and your rural friends actually depend on when things are bad, like SNAP benefits, food stamps, Medicaid, Medicare, farm supports, all slashed. That job that your friend actually had at the local federal office, well, gone. by mass federal layoffs. Well, this isn't just a myth. This is exactly what's happening to folks in rural America. They're finding out the hard way that they effed around and found out after actually voting against their best interest, because they didn't actually vote thinking that this would happen to them. They voted believing that they were standing up for their community, protecting their families, defending their values, that nobody in DC actually was listening. So they decided to put their trust in one man that promised to fight for the forgotten America, bring back jobs to the United States, and make America great again. But now the policies that they were sold as freedom, self-reliance, strength, they're all showing up in their bank accounts, in their hospitals, and in their grocery stores. And this is exactly not what they expected. They effed around and found out. They never listened when people tried to warn them, especially MAGA in rural red states. I'm a presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing. Hit that like button. Let's take a look at these videos that I have sampled for you guys. I'll be back with more commentary after this.
65 years old and up shouldn't be working. You should be able to retire and go spend the rest of your life relaxing and doing what you like, but that's not the case. And even if you do retire and you saved money your whole life, that doesn't mean you can go travel the world like we always thought we could do when we were kids. If you got money in the bank and you retire, you have to save it. Social Security might pay you $3,000 a month. If you had a 401, that might pay you $2,000 a month if you're lucky. So you're having to downgrade your life, not retire and go enjoy your life and travel. You see 70-year-old people working. I work construction, and I see 70-plus-year-old men working with us. It shouldn't be that way. They can't stop working because they don't have the money to stop working. So that means they have to work till they're gone. Am I wrong?
Rural America, I hope you're watching. Farmers and ranchers, I hope you're watching, because you're being gaslit right out of existence. Hey guys, my name's Will. This is the Back 40, and let's talk about it. Nothing summarizes, nothing epitomizes, nothing represents the gaslighting that's happening to farmers and ranchers in rural America better than the Chinese trade deal that was announced today. Can you imagine a situation in rural America at any job you hold or on any farm and ranch in this country where you could be praised, lifted up, and put on a pedestal for creating a problem, blowing up the entire economy by creating that problem, backing away from your stance that created the problem, and in the end, claiming a victory because you had to back down? That's exactly what just happened today. In rural America, farmers and ranchers, I hope you're watching, because all of America is going to pay the price, but you're going to pay a very special price.
So this guy comes up under my post about the article from the AJC and how rural towns are dying. And he was like, you need to stop the madness. This isn't about race, it's about economics. Black dude, first of all the other 150 comments, they all knew what I meant when I said they have their po' boy clubs in these small towns. That doesn't mean that they don't just want black people there. What it means is they have a small way of thinking. They don't want businesses coming to the area. They don't want to combine any resources with the schools. I grew up in a small town that thought like that, so I know exactly how those people think. They only want their friends having the jobs. They don't want to keep up with times. They're against technology. So turns out a lot of people, regardless of their race, don't want to live around that sort of thinking. It has nothing to do with just black people. They don't want anybody from anywhere moving into these places. And that's why now they're up here scratching their head trying to figure out how they're going to keep their towns from dying, because all the older people are passing away and the young ones don't want to live there, and I don't blame them. And then these big organizations or these warehouses, they come to these small towns, and yeah, they offer jobs, but the people that live there still can't afford to live in these same towns that they make good money in. So yes, it is a big clusterfuck when po' boy mentality gets all over everything. That's why those towns are the way they are, mostly in the South, but it's all over the nation, but mostly in the South.
I live in a super rural area in Illinois, and recently our local newspapers have started posting about hospital closures and how Medicaid and Medicare funds our hospitals and our nursing homes, and how there's a lot of fear surrounding Medicaid and Medicare cuts and possible job loss, possible department closures, things. And there are like about 100 MAGA in each post, and they're just like, show me the data, I want to see the numbers, show me the financials, like they'll understand it. It's just so comical to me. They are telling you, we have already closed our OB department, we have already closed this clinic and that clinic. People are already driving an hour to an hour and a half for healthcare, especially women's healthcare or mental health. People are still in disbelief, like the newspapers, oh, you're just a liberal newspaper, look at you've gone woke. It's not woke in a bad way to understand how these cuts and these policies impact us, especially in rural areas. Like, you have to wake up and face reality at some point that you voted for this, and now you're going to be impacted. Your neighbors, your friends, your family, we're all going to be affected by this. It's your fault. You have to open your eyes and realize that. You can't just live in denial. They're telling you they're going to close. When they close, are you still going to be in denial? No, you're going to blame it on Democrats somehow.
I live in rural Arkansas. And if you don't understand why people in rural Arkansas or rural America vote Republican, it's because of fear and jealousy. Jealousy that somebody has it better than they do, that they work their asses off, and most of them do. More education, because the education here is at the bottom of the tier. Maternal mortality, low. Education, low. Quality of living, low. Infrastructure, super low. There's no industry, there's no hope for these young kids in rural Arkansas to have a job. We had a chance to vote Chris Jones, an actual rocket scientist like myself who was educated and had a plan to bring jobs and infrastructure to Arkansas. But the people I talked to in rural Arkansas will not vote for him because of his color of his skin. And they weren't nice when they described the color of his skin. So they voted for a sycophant, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is treating this like her personal money bank. There is no infrastructure here. The roads are shit. You can drive 2 hours. So my closest grocery store, besides Walmart, is 2 hours away. So if I go that 2 hours to go to that grocery store, the roads I have to take are barely have enough room for two people to pass each other. There is no cell phone coverage for over an hour and a half of that ride. And there's no hope to get those roads fixed anytime soon because there's no money. I say that, but lo and behold, what did Sarah do as of July of 2025? She has loaned and bought $55 million worth of Israeli bonds. So she's loaned Israel $55 million with a catch to give them $100 more million by the end of the year. When her people are fucking starving, they have no medical care. Hell, most teenage girls here are living at home pregnant with their moms. And they're living at home with their moms and their boyfriends. Because that's how rural America lives. There's nothing for these kids to look forward to. So why would they ever vote Republican? Because that's what they're told to do. $150 million would go a long way to feed, get medical attention, and up our so that our children here in Arkansas don't die in infancy and the mothers don't die in childbirth. And that is rural America. Fuck Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She is the worst governor okay, she's second. Our neighbor Texas Abbott is worse, but she's a close second.
We're just absolutely fucked as farmers, guys. Everything is so fucked, and I do not see anybody surviving this farm crisis that we're in. Guys, look, one of the best splorn crops that I have ever raised in my life. and because of the tariffs, China will not fucking buy it. And they are the only country in the world other than, well, they are the only country in the world that buys Splorn. And so now I'm literally just chopping it and blowing it on the fucking ground because it's fucking useless. It's valueless. There's nothing I can fucking do to it. I am going to need government assistance to make it through this fucking crisis until these tariffs end. Look, I've never raised a Splorn crop like this, guys. And this is just fucking heartbreaking to me. I don't know how I'm gonna survive. You know, Trump said he fucking loved us farmers, and here I am just blowing my Splorn crop all over the ground. Hopefully he works a deal out where Antarctica and Mars will start buying this Splorn and save the farmers. I'm sorry, Splorn crop, but you're fucked.
The Trump administration is cutting support for the Rural Energy for America program. And it's a program that has helped thousands of farmers over the last 2 decades cut energy costs by installing solar energy and renewables. It delivered $1.2 billion in grants and $2.5 billion in loan guarantees for rural projects since 2014. 70% of that money was for solar energy, and it's helped rural America actually develop renewable energy and cut costs and increase available income for rural Americans. But now the Trump administration is gutting the program. On August 19th, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins announced that, quote, USDA will no longer fund taxpayer dollars for solar panels on productive farmland or allow solar panels manufactured by foreign adversaries to be used in USDA projects. This is a huge loss for rural America. Farmers have been using this program to advance renewable energy and actually achieve cost savings. And the Trump administration is scrapping all of that. According to Canary Media, the program comes at little cost to the federal government since the loans are usually repaid without the financial institution needing to tap the guarantee. So it was a win for the government too. And I think this example is really interesting because we see so often that the conservatives are saying that they care about middle America, that rural America has been forgotten, and the Republican Party is the ones who will fight for them in Washington. And actions like this show that the Republicans and any elected official who is bought and paid for by corporations is willing to sell out the middle class, the working class people of this country, middle America, rural America, urban areas, everywhere. These are elected officials who care about advancing their own agenda. In this case, that is maintaining reliance on oil and gas and supporting the oil and gas industry over solar, which is far cheaper, far more beneficial for these farmers, and better for the climate and local environments. So if you care about rural America, vote for officials who are not bought and paid for by corporations.
Alright guys, there you have it. Actually, as you have seen in the video, rural Americans are getting hit with their worst FAFO in decades, especially after voting for the Orange Man 3 times in a row. You know, we have a lot of rural MAGA states who actually went ahead and thought that DC wasn't listening to them. You know, Washington was not giving a continental about them. So they thought, actually, let's teach them a lesson. Let's elect one man who was promising to actually do something about the forgotten America, to do something about rural Americans, bring back jobs to American soil, and, you know, make America great again, and actually punish every country that was ripping America off by imposing tariffs and a trade war on these countries. As part of what he was going to do, he was also going to chase away illegal immigrants who are coming into the country and taking jobs from the American citizens. All these sounded well and good until now that these MAGA rural Americans are starting to find out, you know, the hard way that they played themselves, man. They voted against their best interest because they never wanted to listen to Democrats. They never wanted to listen to black folks when they try to warn y'all to actually go ahead and do what's best for y'all. Because if you look at rural Americans, especially red states and rural states, it's the blue states that actually bail them out. It's taxpayers' money from the blue states that actually keep them afloat and keep them going. But they never wanted to listen. And we have seen a lot of, red states, rural American states, which are heavily dependent on rural farm work, especially Nebraska, Texas, Florida, California, Arkansas, Idaho. We can name a lot of them, but all of them have one thing in common. They voted for policies that they thought were going to affect other people and make them actually become great or better, but they ended up discovering that these policies do affect us too. They actually affect us more than they affect other people. Because if you look at these rural Americans, most of them depend on farm work, and a lot of them have been declaring bankruptcies. As research actually says that farm bankruptcies jumped from 24% in 2019 during the trade war with China, and by 2022 small farms under 10 acres had declined by 14%. Can you believe that? This is all due to tariffs and subsidy policies meant to protect American farms, but actually helped larger companies while hurting small and independent farmers. And where do you find these small independent farmers? Of course, in rural America. Now, to make matters worse, as if their farm going bankrupt and them declaring bankruptcy, losing generational businesses wasn't worse. They actually went ahead to lose their safety nets, like cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP benefits, food stamps, because of the orange man's one big beautiful bill. One thing that actually is very hilarious is that a lot of them have been admitting the only thing that was true about this bill is that indeed it was big, because it was over 1,000 pages that nobody could actually take the time to actually read through. But now it's affecting their livelihood. They're losing their safety nets, they're losing their welfare benefits, they're losing food stamps, because most of them do not have jobs because of the joblessness in rural America. It's very hard for people to actually get good education and get good jobs because schools in rural America is being, underfunded or underperforming. And this is exactly what's affecting them. And another thing that we have seen affecting these guys that I would actually want to address is the federal job losses. We all know that most of these rural, MAGA states actually depend on the government as the biggest employer. Now, we all know what happened with Doge, cutting on government spending, where they went on, mass layoffs from federal jobs. A lot of federal employees were actually, laid off from their jobs, losing their jobs just overnight because of, ending of programs like DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is exactly what happens when you vote for the wrong policies, when you vote without actually thinking about how policies are going to be affecting you in the long run. I'm a presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, hit that like button. See you on the next episode.